Kael, why are you looking at me like that? The city is burning, there is blood on your hands, and everyone keeps saying you saved my life. I am sorry, I truly am, but I do not know your name.
That was the 5th time Regent Lyra had looked into Kael Vare's eyes and found a stranger there. Every rescue erased something small at first. A song, a promise, the shape of a hand held in the dark. "Do not touch the ledger, not even to help me. It chooses what to take, and it never takes gold. It takes the part of you that makes survival worth it. I cannot lose another memory of you."
The black book in your coat. It is bleeding light. Why would a book make me forget you? And why does hearing your voice feel like standing beside a grave that I cannot remember visiting?
Before dawn, Lyra would remember only one fact. Kael had been dangerous. The Empire would remember him as a traitor, and the Black Ledger would remember every name it had quietly stolen to keep Vera alive. "If you want the truth, Lyra, listen before the next bell. I was rank 0. You sentenced me in the rain. Then a forbidden book opened itself, and the whole Empire decided my life was worth collecting." In Vera, children were ranked by the value of their magic. Healers became nobles. Fire callers became soldiers. Kael Vare reached 19 with no gift, no family name, and a record of debts his mother had died trying to repay. Rank 0 means there is nothing to measure. No magic, no future. The Academy gives you a gray coat, a basement bed, and a polite warning that the Empire has no use for dead weight.
Kael Vare, you entered a sealed archive and removed a royal document. The law is uncomplicated. A citizen who steals a memory ledger is either desperate, stupid, or working for our enemies. Which are you?
My mother was not a traitor. She worked in that archive for 20 years. The document says she sold memories to the crown. I stole it because I wanted proof that the Empire did not erase her and call it justice. Lyra had learned to survive the palace by never showing doubt. She wore silver armor over old grief, passed sentences with a steady voice, and told herself that mercy was a luxury only safe people could afford.
The tribunal will decide tomorrow. Until then, Rank 0 remains in the old observatory prison. Do not hurt him. Do not speak to him. And Kael, do not mistake my restraint for kindness.
Kael had spent his life being told that rank 0 meant empty. But an empire does not notice every kind of value. It notices fire when it can weaponize it, healing when it can sell it, and obedience when it can call it peace. It does not notice the cost of a person until that person stops paying. My mother used to count things the palace ignored. Empty chairs at dinner. Names missing from neighborhood doors. The way people paused before telling the same story twice. I thought she was afraid of becoming old. Now I think she was trying to prove that somebody had been here before the crown erased them.
I thought rules were merciful because they were the same for everyone. I never asked who had written them or whose hands shook while they did. A sentence feels clean from the bench. It feels different when you hear the chains close around someone who only wanted proof that his mother existed.
That was the first lesson of the ledger. A debt does not start when a book opens. It starts when a city decides some lives are too small to count. By the time Kael touched the black page, Vera had already spent him many times over. At midnight, the observatory locks began to melt. Not from heat, from letters. Black ink crawled across the iron, spelling debts in the handwriting of people who had been dead for centuries. I was chained to the floor when the book arrived. It floated through the wall, opened to a page with my name, and asked one question in a voice that sounded like my mother. What will you give to live?
I heard the bells and found the prison empty except for Kael. The guards were breathing, but their eyes were blank. They had forgotten why they carried weapons, why they served the crown, why they feared anything at all.
The ledger did not give me power for free. It showed me the city above us, then showed me every citizen attached to a thread of memory. It said one spell could cut any thread I chose.
Chancellor Aurel arrived before Lyra could decide whether to free Kael or kill him. Behind him marched the Ash Guard, soldiers who wore masks because they had already traded away their own faces.
Step away from the artifact, Regent. The boy is infected by a relic that ended 3 kingdoms. We will remove his hand, burn the page, and make certain his name never enters public record again.
Aurel did not wait for surrender. The Ash Guard raised their black spears, the observatory windows burst inward, and Lyra was thrown toward the broken glass with 3 stories of rain below her.
I did not know how to use it. I only knew Lyra was falling. I put my hand on the page, said her name, and asked the ledger to stop the world for 1 second.
Every drop of rain stopped in the air. The soldiers stood motionless. Kael caught me above the street as though gravity had forgotten its own rules. Then the book whispered that something had been paid.
Lyra, tell me what you remember about the orchard outside the western wall. The night you dragged me there after the academy feast. You said you hated peaches, then ate 6 because you were nervous.
I have never taken you to an orchard. I do not even like peaches. Why would I be alone with a prisoner after an academy feast? Kael, what are you trying to make me remember?
The ledger had saved her body by taking a harmless memory first. Kael told himself he could live with that price. He did not yet understand that the book always began with the memories people thought they could survive without. Lyra chose treason before sunrise. She hid Kael beneath the river in an archive older than the palace, where forbidden books slept under glass and the water carried whispers from every generation Vera had buried.
I am Mara Vale. I keep this place because someone has to remember what kings erase. The Black Ledger is not a weapon, Kael. It is an accounting system built from human lives.
My mother worked for the archive. Did she know the crown traded memories? Did she know every soldier, servant, and orphan in Vera was being charged for a piece none of them chose?
Your mother found the first ledger page. She copied the names, hid them, and told Aurel the city deserved the truth. 3 days later, everyone who loved her forgot that she had ever existed.
I grew up hearing that memory tithes kept the Ash Gate closed, that the price was terrible but necessary. I believed it because the alternative was admitting my family built its throne on people who could not remember being robbed.
Mara opened a sealed drawer. Inside lay a page dated 12 years earlier, written in Kael's handwriting. Across the center, in red ink, was one name: Lyra Aster. Debt deferred.
Why would you write my name in a forbidden book 12 years before we met? Do not tell me another half-truth, Kael. I have spent 1 night losing memories, and I already hate how easy it is for you to look away.
We were children. You escaped the palace garden because you wanted to see the city without guards. I found you stealing bread, you threatened to arrest me, and then you gave half the loaf to a boy sleeping under a bridge.
Lyra remembered the cold stones, the hunger, the shame of wearing a crown while other children slept outside. She remembered a stranger with scraped hands, but his face remained hidden behind the same dark blur the ledger left behind.
You made Aurel forget that I left the palace. That was the debt deferred. You traded away my memory of you to keep him from using it against me. I have been forgetting you since before I knew you.
I thought 1 erased day was enough. Then my mother found the ledger's source, and the debts began appearing in my name. I did not tell you because every secret I kept felt safer than watching you lose another piece of yourself.
Above the river, Aurel announced that Regent Lyra had been murdered by a rank 0 terrorist. By breakfast, every gate in Vera carried Kael's face. By noon, the city was hunting the only person who could expose its peace. Before titles, before trials, before the word traitor became a blade between them, there had been a bridge under the eastern wall. A princess wearing a stolen cloak, a hungry boy carrying half a loaf of bread. Neither knew that a city could build a future around two children refusing to look away.
I remember the bread more than the boy. I remember breaking it badly because my hands had never been cold enough to shake. I remember you laughing at me for apologizing to a crust. Perhaps that is why this hurts. The oldest parts of me know you before my mind can find your face.
You could have gone back to the palace. You did not. You stayed until the sun came up, and you asked every child under that bridge what they wanted to be. Nobody said noble. Nobody said powerful. They wanted warm rooms, full bowls, and someone who would not forget their names.
That was all it was at first. Attention. A girl raised inside walls, listening to the people outside them. A boy who believed the world could still be kinder because she had bothered to ask. The ledger could erase memories, but it could not undo the fact that they had changed each other.
Citizens of Vera, the fugitive Kael Ver has infected our regent with a memory plague. Shelter no one wearing a gray coat. Report all sightings. Remember this, mercy toward him is cruelty toward the city.
People believed Oral because his lie gave their fear a face. Bakers locked their doors. Children repeated the bounty like a game. Even people Kael had helped crossed the street, terrified that remembering him might cost them something.
I am still regent. I can stand in the square, remove Oral's seal and tell them the truth. They may hate me, but they will hear my voice before they hear another order from that man.
He has been taking memories from the city for decades. He knows exactly which fears to wake. If you step into that square, he will make them forget you were ever their regent and remember only the crime he gives them.
The old map tunnels lead to the Ash Gate. If we reach the original ledger chamber before Oral, we can show the city every debt at once. Not a speech, proof. Names, memories, faces, everything.
Then the Ash Guard found a boy hiding behind a market stall. They called him a witness. Kael called him frightened. The ledger opened in his hands before anyone could stop it.
The spear was already moving. I could have cut the guard's memory, but the boy was too close. So I asked the ledger to turn the spear aside. I knew it would take something. I still said yes.
The spear softened into black petals in mid-air. The Ash Guard forgot why they had raised their weapons. The market held its breath. For one impossible moment, Kael looked less like a fugitive than a saint.
Do not ask whether I am all right. Ask what disappeared. There is an empty place behind my ribs, and I can feel it has your shape. Kael, tell me before the answer vanishes too.
You kissed me on the observatory roof after I brought you the proof about your father. You said the world was cruel, then promised we would be crueler to it together. You do not remember that now.
I believe you. That is the worst part. I believe every word, and I feel nothing when I look for it. I hate the book. I hate Oral. And I hate that you keep paying with the only thing I cannot give back.
Mara said nothing, but she touched the hidden knife at her belt. She had spent years planning to destroy the ledger. Now she saw a boy willing to use it, a regent willing to forgive him, and a chance she feared losing.
People do not ask for lies, they ask for sleep. They ask for a morning when their children are alive and the gates remain shut. Give them that morning often enough, and they stop asking what was traded for it. They call the bargain civilization, and they thank the hand that made it.
Oral ruled because the city helped him rule. Every citizen who looked away from an empty chair, every official who called a missing memory a private sorrow, every parent who accepted safety without asking whose child had paid for it. The Crown did not invent the silence, it organized it.
I wanted one villain, one man to blame. But then I saw the market. People with old wounds they could not explain. Mothers who knew they had lost something, but not what. Soldiers carrying medals for battles they had forgotten. The whole city had been robbed, and the receipts were buried inside us.
Then we do not only tear down a man, we teach Vesperbound to remember what comfort has cost. That will be harder than fighting guards. A monster gives people an excuse to remain innocent. A system asks them to admit they benefited, while others disappeared.
Beneath Vesperbound are vaults full of memory glass. Each vial contains a person stripped of one moment, so the Crown can feed the Ashgate. Farmers forget dead children. Soldiers forget why they enlisted. Lovers forget leaving.
Mara had gathered people who remembered the gaps in their lives. They called themselves the Unwritten. None had enough proof to start a war. Kael's ledger was not merely proof. It was the key to every locked memory below the capital.
Then we do it tonight. We give the city back what was stolen. If people remember the truth, Aurel loses the fear that protects him. If the Ash Gate opens, we find another way to close it.
You do not know what lies beyond that gate. My father saw it once. He came back screaming that the dead were knocking. The ledger might be monstrous, but perhaps it is the chain holding something worse. Every tyrant says the cage is necessary because the outside is dangerous. Maybe the Ash Gate is real, maybe it is not. But no ruler gets to decide which memories the rest of us are allowed to keep.
Kael looked at Lyra, then at the city beneath their feet. For the first time, he chose the Unwritten over the woman he loved. It was the right choice. It was also the moment Mara began planning how to take the book from him. At midnight, the Unwritten reached the first memory vault. Kael placed the ledger against the lock. Thousands of glass vials began to sing, each one carrying a life interrupted by a choice no one remembered making.
Kael, I need you to trust me. The book has chosen you because it wants a keeper. Destroy it before it learns every weakness you carry. Hand it over, and I will end this before it asks for Lyra again.
Your hands are shaking, because you have wanted this book for years. You do not want to destroy it. You want to make Aurel remember every person he robbed, then make the whole city watch him break.
My sister forgot her own daughter because the Crown needed another quiet winter. Do not lecture me about mercy. I have watched innocent people live with empty rooms in their minds, while Aurel called it peace.
Mara, stop! The knife is not for the ledger. It is for him. You are trying to make the book choose a new keeper by killing the boy who refuses to become your weapon.
Kael's blood touched the page with Lyra's name. The vault went dark. Then the ledger revealed a memory neither Kael nor Lyra had ever been allowed to keep. The day he had built the first lock himself.
My sister used to braid her daughter's hair with red thread. That detail is not in any royal record. It is not useful evidence. But I kept it because the Crown thinks a person becomes manageable once their name is gone. I wanted one small fact that no chancellor could turn into a number.
Mara's vault did not contain forbidden books. It contained witnesses, recipes written by hands nobody remembered, love letters addressed to absent names, drawings from children whose parents could no longer describe their voices. Every page was proof that a life remains real, even when power declares it inconvenient.
My mother did not leave me a letter. She left gaps, a missing photograph, a recipe nobody could finish, a room where people lowered their voices without knowing why. I thought that meant she had abandoned me. Maybe she was fighting to leave enough evidence for me to find her.
Evidence is not only for courts, Kael. It is for the moment someone tells you that your pain is imaginary. Keep the little things, the red thread, the orchard, the broken loaf. Tyrants can burn libraries. They cannot win if ordinary people keep becoming each other's archives.
The ledger showed a boy, older than Kael should have been, standing beside Kael's mother in a chamber under the ash gate. They were not victims of the system. They were its youngest architects. I remember being 9. I remember my mother teaching me letters. I do not remember building a prison beneath the city. I do not remember knowing the gate. I do not remember any of this.
The book did not only take from me. Someone carved years out of you, Kael. They left you rank 0 because a boy with no past is easier to control than a boy who knows how the crown survives.
She told me once, "The gate opened when you were 12. You closed it by writing your own memories into the ledger. She made everyone forget so Oral could not turn you into the next chancellor."
My mother stole my life before anyone else could steal it. She left me a blank page and called it protection. And now the ledger has come back because the debt she delayed has finally reached my name.
Above the vault, Chancellor Oral listened through the palace mirrors. He did not fear Kael remembering the truth. He feared Kael remembering one detail the ledger had hidden. The ash gate did not need memories to stay closed. It needed a witness.
Lyra, return to the palace alone. I will spare your rebels, heal the boy, and let the city wake tomorrow without another war. You know what chaos costs. You have worn its crown.
You call surrender peace because you have never paid its price. You made me pass sentences while you emptied people one memory at a time. I will not come home to a throne built from strangers.
Oral opened a mirror to show the square. Hundreds of citizens had been forced to kneel. He promised to erase their grief if Lyra returned. He promised to give every stolen memory back if she abandoned Kael.
Lyra, take the deal if it saves them. I have lost enough of your life already. Do not add a city to the list because you are trying to remember a boy you barely know.
I do not need every memory to know what is right. I choose the people in that square. I choose the girl I was before the palace taught me fear. And I choose the truth, even if it leaves me alone.
The moment Lyra refused, the palace bells became a command. Every citizen who had paid a memory tithe heard the same instruction inside their head. Find the regent, bring her back. Forget why you loved her. Mara led them into the palace during the Feast of Masks, when nobles dressed as saints and monsters because no one could bear to show the face they had bought with someone else's loss.
I used to love this night. The music, the lights, the idea that everyone could be someone else for a few hours. Now I see it clearly. Vera made masks fashionable because the city has always been afraid of memory.
Then dance with me. Not because you remember. Not because the ledger says we are connected. Dance because this may be the only moment Oral cannot turn into a weapon against us.
I do not know the steps. Yet when you move, my hand finds yours before I think. That is cruel, Kael. It feels like my body is keeping secrets my mind was forced to surrender.
Beneath the music, they crossed the hall toward the Crown Archive. Every noble smiled through borrowed memories. Every guard bowed to Lyra without realizing Oral had ordered them to kill her the moment she touched the vault door.
Beautiful. I taught you caution, Lyra, and you came back carrying a traitor through my own ballroom. Did you really believe a stolen dance could undo a system built before you were born? Look beneath the palace. The ash gate opens onto a place made from abandoned memories. Every grief the ledger collects becomes a shape beyond that door. If it opens fully, Vera will drown in everything it refused to feel.
For the first time, Kael saw why good people had accepted the crown's lie. Beyond the gate moved silhouettes with the voices of the forgotten. They were not demons. They were memories denied long enough to become hungry.
If the gate needs memories, give it yours. Give it the crowns. Give it every jeweled room above us. Why are children and servants paying, while men like you keep every cruel thing they have ever done?
Someone has to remember the full weight of the city or the gate tears open. The ledger chose your bloodline for that burden. Your mother understood. She made you forget so you would not choose freedom over duty.
You never wanted to destroy him. You wanted him to become you. A lonely keeper feeding the gate with other people's lives while calling himself necessary. That is not duty. That is cowardice, dressed as sacrifice.
The ledger turned to its last blank page. It offered a new contract. One person could become the witness. One person could close the gate forever. And the payment would be every memory of the person they loved most. Long before Oral, the first keepers built the Ash Gate to hold a catastrophe no army could kill. They believed memory was the strongest material a human being possessed. They were right. What they forgot was that strength becomes poison when one person is allowed to decide whose memories matter.
You call me cruel because you have not buried what I buried. I watched the gate take my family while honest people argued about fairness. I chose a city over a household. Then I chose order over grief. After enough choices like that, you stop hearing the difference between protection and control.
I believe you loved them. I believe you were afraid. That pain is not a crown. It does not give you the right to make strangers carry your fear forever. Every tyrant has a wound. The wound explains the cruelty. It never excuses the hand that repeats it.
Hidden beneath generations of theft was a simpler law. The gate accepted what was freely given because a freely given memory carried truth. The keepers had replaced that truth with tribute. Then, after enough years, nobody remembered there had ever been another way.
Give it to me. I will be the witness. I have spent my whole life serving a lie because I could not remember the people it hurt. Let me remember every debt. Let me carry the truth for once.
No! The ledger will use you until there is nothing left. It will make you remember every face it stole, every moment I lost, every version of us it buried. You are not a punishment meant to keep a gate closed.
Lyra touched the page. The orchard returned. The roof returned. The bridge. The first kiss. Her father signing memory orders. Kael as a child beneath the gate. Thousands of lives flooding through one human heart.
I remember every time you waited for me to know your name again. I remember you pretending it did not hurt. I remember promising we would be crueler to the world together. I remember loving you before either of us understood it.
The gate is reacting. The city can feel the memories coming back. Oral will try to seal us in here. Choose now. Destroy the ledger, become its keeper, or let the entire truth tear Vera apart.
Between the old debts, Lyra found a line Oral had never seen. The gate did not require a keeper at all. It required one honest memory, freely given, not stolen. The lie had been feeding it all along.
One honest memory freely given can close the gate. Not a tax, not a sacrifice taken by force. We can end the ledger by offering the truest thing we have without trying to own what remains.
You think love is strong enough to seal an abyss? I tried honesty once. The gate took my wife, my son, every reason I had to be merciful. Power is all that survives when memory fails.
It cannot be just any memory. It must be the memory that makes you who you are. If we give the gate our love, we may close it forever. But neither of us will remember why the other mattered.
I would rather lose you honestly than watch the city keep losing strangers by force. We are not giving away love. We are proving it existed. Somewhere, even after we forget, it will still have changed us.
The Chancellor tore the ledger from Kael's hands and threw blood across its final page. The gate opened wider than it had in 100 years. All the memories Vera had denied began walking back toward the city.
The square is falling. Ashgard are turning on civilians. If you are going to make that choice, make it now. In 1 minute, there may be no Vera left to remember anything.
I used to imagine we would leave Vera after this. A room above a bakery, no palace guards, no books that knew our names. You would complain about the noise, pretend you hated the bread, and I would keep buying too much because I finally could. It was a small dream. That is why it hurt.
I imagined rebuilding the palace into something ugly and useful. Windows everywhere, archives open to the street, children coming in to ask questions nobody could punish them for. I imagined you refusing every official title, then secretly correcting the records because you could not stand a mistake.
They did not need the ledger to tell them what love was. They knew it in the futures they had begun to picture for each other. That was the cruelty of the final page. It did not ask for an abstract sacrifice. It asked them to offer the life they wanted most.
There is no clean choice here. Anyone who says otherwise wants you to die without anger. Be angry, be afraid, but do not let the book convince you that suffering is beautiful. The only beauty in sacrifice is that it ends the need for another person to make it.
The ash-gate spilled figures made from memory and rain. A mother who had been forgotten by her son. A soldier who had forgotten why he was afraid. 1,000 unfinished goodbyes walking through Vera's streets.
Do not attack them. They are memories trying to return. Every blade you raise only makes them hungrier. Let people see who they are. Let them say the names the crown took away.
Citizens of Vera, look at them. Do not run from your grief. Do not obey another order that asks you to forget. Say their names. Say what was taken. The truth is frightening, but it is still yours.
One baker remembered a daughter. A guard remembered a brother. An old woman remembered a husband whose laugh she had spent 30 years trying to describe. Across the square, people spoke names until the rain itself seemed to listen.
Enough! They are weak because they need stories. I gave them peace, food, walls, order. I will not let a few lost memories turn a city into a mob that tears down everything I built.
You did not build peace, Oral. You built a room where everyone else carried the pain, so you never had to hear it. My sister's name was Elion. Her daughter was Sarah. Remember them before you die.
The Chancellor used the last of the ledger's stolen power to throw Lyra across the broken throne room. Kael reached her too late. Her crown cracked on the stone, and the gate answered with a sound like the city screaming.
Lyra, stay with me. I know the honest memory we need. I know it, because I have carried it through every time you forgot. Let me give it. Let me be the witness this city never deserved.
No! We decide together. You do not get to make another sacrifice alone, because you think loving me means protecting me from every painful choice. I remember you now. Do not take that from me again.
I am not taking it from you. I am giving you a future that does not depend on a book deciding what you can keep. I loved you before you knew my name. I will love you, even if I lose mine.
Kael pressed his hand to the final page. The book drank the orchard, the bridge, the roof, every night he had waited for Lyra to return to him. Then it reached deeper, taking the part of him that knew why he had chosen her.
Kael, please look at me. Say my name. The city is safe. The rain has stopped. You did it. You did it, and I remember every second. Please do not leave me as the only person who knows what we were.
When Kael gave the ledger everything he knew about Lyra, the city did not hear an explosion. It heard a silence inside one man. Some losses are loud enough to become history. Others happen in a single face, when someone looks at the person they love and finds only a question.
I wanted to shake him until he remembered the orchard. I wanted to make the world give it back because it had taken enough. But I could not turn his sacrifice into another theft. Loving him meant letting him be free of the story I was desperate to preserve.
I did not know why the rain made me think of you. I did not know why your voice felt like a place I had survived. But I knew I did not want you to cry alone. Maybe memory is not the only thing that teaches us who we are. Maybe kindness remembers for us.
Vesperbound had been taught that victory meant keeping everything it could grasp. Kael's empty hands offered another lesson. A future cannot be built by collecting other people's lives. Sometimes the bravest thing a city can do is accept what it has lost, then refuse to lose anyone else. The Ashguard removed their masks. The memory vaults opened. The crown's ledgers were read in public until every family knew what had been taken and who had signed the order. Vesperbound was not peaceful. It was finally awake.
We will not destroy the evidence. We will build a public archive where no memory can be taxed without consent, and no ruler can hide behind a secret page. That is the only kind of peace worth defending.
They offered me the crown back. I accepted it with one condition. Every law must survive being remembered. I thought that would be enough. Then I found myself walking to the Western Orchard every morning.
Kael survived the ledger's final debt. He remembered language, hunger, the sound of rain, and how to smile at strangers. But Lyra's face carried no history. Her name was a word that made his chest hurt for reasons he could not explain.
Excuse me. You keep coming here like you are waiting for someone. I do not know why, but I think I have seen you before. Did we meet in this orchard?
We met everywhere. But this is a good place to begin again. My name is Lyra. I like peaches now. And I have been waiting for a man who would ask me that question.
Lyra did not tell Kael that she had watched him forget her. Kael did not tell Lyra that the orchard felt like a wound he wanted to protect. They sat beneath the trees and pretended the first meeting could be simple.
You know, I do not remember much before the gate closed, but I know I trust you. That is strange, right? Trusting someone because your heart seems to have read a story your mind never received?
It is not strange. It is human. Some truths are too deep for memory alone. When you are ready, I will tell you the story. Until then, we can make a better one without anyone taking it from us.
Far beneath the orchard, one ash-covered page remained inside the sealed ledger. On it, a new sentence appeared in Kael's handwriting. If she forgets you again, do not save her. The debt has not finished collecting.
Lyra? Did you hear that? Someone said my name. It sounded like a child. It sounded like me. And for 1 second, I remembered a door under the city opening from the other side.
Then we will face it together. This time, no hidden pages, no stolen memories. No one decides what we are allowed to keep. Find me again, Kael. I will keep finding you.
They returned to the Western Orchard because some places keep a shape after the people inside them change. The trees did not know what had been sacrificed. The peaches did not know 2 lives had been broken and remade beneath their branches. They simply kept growing toward the light.
I cannot promise I will become the man you were waiting for. I do not know who he was, but I can promise I will not pretend this feeling is nothing because it is inconvenient. I want to know why this place matters to you. I want to know what makes you smile when you think nobody sees.
Then I will tell you. Slowly. Not to make you return to me. Not to make you pay for what you lost. I will tell you because our story deserves to exist somewhere outside a prison of secrets. And tomorrow, you can decide whether you want to hear the next page.
Beneath the roots, a black page waited in the dark. The city had survived its first debt. Kael and Lyra had found each other once more, yet an old sentence had begun to write itself in a child's handwriting. The ledger was not finished counting. It was only learning what love would cost next.